Hello everyone, thank you so much for watching my Idolmaster Shiny Colors Song for Prism Basic Guide. I saw a lot of you guys in the comments saying that you wanted a bit more of an in-depth strategy guide, so I'm going to do that for the produce run today, because that is a major aspect of this game if you want to be able to get lots of high scores in the live show, and you might be a little bit confused as to why you're not really scoring high in the rhythm game aspect because you don't have a high grade idol. But here I will show you how you can get a S or SS ranked idol and a S or SS ranked unit every single time in your produce run, pretty much without fail. So let's just start by opening up the produce run, which is this little coffee mug and calendar right down here. And full disclosure, I only actually started to figure this stuff out after lots of trial and error and checking out the Discord and looking at other written guides. Today we're gonna start doing this guide with Hokago Climax Girls on the hard mode. So yeah, this guide will be for the hard mode and it'll work for all of the other difficulty levels, and you don't have to have any of your idols uncapped or anything like that, and you don't have to have a lot of good cards either. You're probably going to want to have a few like certain cards that will help you for specific runs because they do specific things that I'll explain in just a little bit. But if you don't have them, you'll likely still be able to achieve this trick. So the current meta for Idolmaster Shiny Colors Song for Prism is actually what I like to call the magazine meta, which basically means that you're just going to be spamming the magazine jobs as much as you can, because the magazine job gives you a overall big stat boost, and spamming it will increase the level of that schedule and that job. So that way that each time you do it, you'll just get more and more stat boosts to like every single stat, vocal, dance, visual, and mental, to the point where like you will just be getting SS stats all around. And this method is tried and true. I've tried it many times and I haven't gotten anything less than an S rank with this. So what you're going to want to make sure of before you jump into this run is that you have the proper support characters that will give you buffs according to the magazine build that you're trying to succeed in. So at the moment I have the optimal amount that I can right now, and I've made sure that all of my support character idols, which are right here, are leveled up to their highest potential that I can get them to. And if you want to learn more about how to level up your idols, you can watch my basics guide for Shiny Song. It's on my channel. I will now go through and put up on the screen a list of the support character idols that you're going to want to consider bringing because they offer different buffs for the magazine build. Many of these are actually R and SR cards, so they're on the lower rarity scale. They're not SSRs. You don't really have to make sure that you're getting like super high rarity cards to be able to achieve this trick, so that's also very helpful. In terms of SRs, the cards that I would recommend is this Yume and this Chiyoko, and when it comes to rare cards, I would recommend this Natsuha and this Koito. For SSR support characters, I would recommend either Hazuki or Hana. It's not guaranteed that the support characters will show up to help you out when you're trying to do the magazine job, but if they do show up, they will make it more likely for you to get a perfect score on the magazine run, giving you more higher stats. I'm going to choose to add Hazuki with my friend's idol, because Hazuki is a little bit different in that she specifically increases the amount of times that you're going to be able to get offs and the effectiveness in which those off days will help you. It's going to be pretty useful considering that the higher level we make our magazine job, the more stamina it's going to take out of us when we do those jobs. Then of course you'll just go through each idol and make sure that you are using the version or the card of the produce idol that you want to level up, and you can equip their different skills here, and as you can see, as you level up the idols in the level up screen, they'll unlock different skills that you can use for the produce runs, and I've set mine up according to how I want them to be at the time, because I don't really have a lot of level up skills for my idols. And that's another thing too, is that you don't have to necessarily have a super high star and high leveled up idol to be able to achieve the S ranks with this build. And once again, I'm going to be skipping the commus for our convenience. So producer's going to ask us which of these bonuses that we're going to want to have for this current week. He's going to ask you every single week. There's 3 weeks in a season. Thankfully, he's allowing us to choose the one that we want to choose the most often, which is the Zashi Oshikoto schedule level up, which is basically the magazine job gets a boost in its ability to level up. Typically, the magazine job, or any job for that matter, will level up after you do it twice. And you may want to remember the kanji for Zashi right here so that you can click this whenever you see it. So typically you might be thinking about doing a lesson to get the idol stats up, but in this case we're actually just going to go straight into the Oshigoto tab, or the work tab, and we're going to go straight to the very far right and do the zashi, or the magazine job, because it gives us a overall pretty big stat boost for everyone, and we have some support idols helping us out, making that boost even bigger. Something to keep in mind when it comes to spamming the magazine jobs is that they will give you only the most basic kinds of little cards here to put into your deck. They can be like powerful and useful in highering your appeal, but you're not going to have any of those special effects that you would get from an actual idol card. If you are targeting a certain idol to make an S or an SS rank, during these little communes, sometimes they will ask you questions that you're going to have to give the correct answer to according to whatever girl likes the answer the most. So for me, in this case, if I'm aiming for Chiyoko to get a higher level grade, I would pick the answer that corresponds to her and give her a stat boost. Thankfully, after doing a couple runs, it will actually tell you which idol and which answer corresponds to which idol. So as you can see, she gained a little bit of a boost there. So now we've leveled our schedule up to level 2, thankfully, on that magazine job, and now we'll see even higher stats, as I was talking about before. So since there's a lot of off days coming up, I'm kind of managing where I want to do the shigoto, the work. By examining the trouble rate down here in the blue on the bottom right, I can see that there's only a 2% chance of us failing, so it might be a good idea to continue to do it on this week specifically, because we have a support idol helping us out on this week. So now at this point my stamina is getting a bit low and I'm kind of forced to take an off day. Thankfully there's been a lot of off days opportunities in this week. Sometimes that won't happen, but in a recent update they confirmed they're going to be increasing the chance that an off day will appear during any given week in the hard mode and every difficulty in the produce runs. So now it'll be guaranteed that you'll be given at least one off day. Even though they're increasing the chances in which you'll get an off day, it's still probably worth it to keep an eye on the upcoming days, just to make sure that you're not going to dip into that red when it comes to your stamina, because that can really ruin your whole run, to be honest. So even if you're at like 50 and you see an off day and that's like the only off day you have, I would go ahead and take that. So on days like this when there's no work to be chosen, you can either do a lesson if there's a idol that you're specifically targeting to get a higher rank, would be pretty helpful for that. Or I could also recommend this odekake, which is like taking a walk out and refreshing yourself. If there's a support idol here, it's more likely to go well. You could get like a random good card, you could get a random good stat boost, it just depends. And sometimes it could be not much of anything. I'll demonstrate what would happen here. Okay, so we got like a moderate stat boost all around with that one. Also, when they ask you to choose a produce card here, if there's nothing that you particularly want, you can also just opt out of it by you pressing that button there, and you won't be grabbing any more cards to fill up your deck with. But each idol's unit is different. There might be an idol like Hokago Climax Girls, for example, that would want you to collect a lot of cards because that is how their appeal will go up, is actually in the size that their deck is. But I'll go over what each of the idol groups' different units are, so you'll have an understanding of that based off of which group you're trying to produce. Now in this one we've got 2 support idols helping us out at the same time, so that was even better. We went ahead and leveled up again. And now all we have to worry about is clearing the audition. I guess there is one other thing you want to keep in mind, is the summer camp that you'll be given if you hit a certain stat threshold by the end of the week. In doing this method, you're probably not going to have to even worry about hitting that stat threshold because it's so low compared to the stats that you're going to be seeing by the end of the first week that you don't even have to worry about it. Getting into the summer camp is really important for getting a higher rank result. Yay, we cleared the audition, let's go! Thanks to clearing that audition, we got a big fan boost as well as a stat boost. Okay, so now the producer's asking us which of the idols in our group we want to target to get a more of a stat boost during this little camp. Since I'm targeting Chiyoko, I'm going to pick her. You may have to pull up a reference on what all of the girls' names look like in kanji in order to make sure you're picking the correct girl if you don't already know them. So during this little special week, we're not going to be able to do the jobs, unfortunately, but we'll be able to do targeted lessons if you want to target a specific girl to get higher stats. You can take an off day if you're running low on your stamina, or you can do this SP lesson, which will give you another produce card if you feel like you're not really getting the kinds of cards that you want to see and they're not really helping you out enough. You can consider doing that one. Today I'm going to target Chiyoko and talk about these challenge missions. So when you're doing a targeted lesson for a specific idol, you're going to have to clear their challenge mission in order to get a targeted stat boost for that specific idol. In Chiyoko's case, she wants me to get 500 appeal points with a dance, even though this is a vocal lesson, so it'll kind of be like a tricky little challenge like that. But let's see if we can do it, because our stats are kind of centralized all around, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem. So we cleared that lesson and also cleared what Chiyoko wanted us to do, so she gained a stat boost in this case. She's on her way up. She's on her way up, boys. Okay, cool. So amazingly, this week we can get a boost in the magazine job once again. I just want to let you know of some of the other boosts that you can consider clicking if that is not an option for you. Probably one of the next best ones you can pick is the trouble down. The percentage of likelihood that you'll fail any specific job goes down. Like if you're running out of stamina, having that boost will make it easier for you to get through specific jobs in that case. If all else fails, I guess you can just go for a lesson up or even an off day boost, such as on the bottom here. So now I'll give you an example of when we will get a perfect on a work job. Whoa, look at those stat boosts. It's kind of silly how cracked we are right now. Whoa, we just cleared that with one card. Did you see that? Holy shit. Okay, so since we're like dying, we should increase the amount of times that we see an off day in our schedule for sure. Shit! We didn't get one. Are you serious? Rather than getting into trouble, I'll just target Chiyoko in this case. Ooh, okay, this is an example in which Hazuki literally brought us from 1 stamina all the way up to full. That's correct! You might be a little worried that we're just at C right now, but don't worry, trust me, I got this, I got this. If they would give us a freaking job! Okay, let's get back to work. Ooh, nice. We got Mental up to S. This audition's gonna be easy mode, bro. I'm telling you, man, we didn't even have to worry about it. Fuck! Don't look at that. Don't feel bad if you don't get S the first time, but just don't, just keep trying, you'll eventually get it. Nice. Let's go. We got that S, boys. Let's go. Oh, and we got everybody at S. That's crazy. Chiyoko's at SS. Oh, okay, so now they're going to distribute these stats randomly, but thankfully we can just move them around like this if you want to give certain ones to other idols and stuff. Okay, now that that's over with and we've secured our ranking, we can just go over the different groups and their gimmicks really quickly. So with Illumination Stars, if you're going to produce them, you're basically going to have a lot of cards that reduce the cost of their PP, which is that number that goes up in the bottom right, and that's the amount of points that you need to be able to dish out when you're like using cards and stuff like that. So you'll be like sending out a lot of different cards because their cost is going to be a lot lower. With Antika, it's you're pretty much just gonna die the whole time, to be honest. Well, the idea is to stay under low health but not die if you can. Basically, their appeal or their scoring power becomes higher the lower your health is, which is why a lot of their cards will have that like heartbreak symbol, which is going to lower your mental. With Hokago Climax Girls, it's basically about having the biggest deck you can, or having the most cards in your hand, because they actually get stronger with the more that you have in your hand at any given time, and they get even more stronger if you have a lot of matching cards in that same hand. Kind of like the opposite of Antika, they become more stronger the higher health they have rather than the lower health they have. So if you can get them into an 80+% of amount of health or higher, they'll go into their safe zone, which will boost the power that they have. And a lot of their cards, they will have that green little heart. If you want a reminder of what those icons mean on each of the cards, you can watch my basics guide. It has a little go over of all of those meanings. Stray Light gets a boosted appeal stat from stat stacking, so their cards will build up their stat stack counters, and when they hit the certain number of stacks, they can choose to like expend those stacks to increase their appeal. Noctil will have a lot of dodge cards, and they'll actually gain a buff with the amount of dodging that they're doing. And a lot of the cards will give you extra bonuses whenever that dodge skill is activated. She's is kind of like a playoff kind of a gimmick here with Nichika and Mikoto because they swap between different Nichika and Mikoto phases. So they kind of buff each other up, and then when you switch to the other phase, they're stronger than the other. And finally, Comedic is all about having a card graveyard, and some of their cards will banish other cards to put them into the graveyard, and then they can't be drawn out again unless you use another card to release them out. And a lot of those cards will have different boons depending on if and when they're put into the graveyard. Okay everyone, that was my favorite reliable strategy to S ranking in Idolmaster Shiny Colors Song for Prism. If you have any questions about specific units or anything about this strategy, go ahead and pop one in the comments and I'll get back to you as soon as I can find an answer for you. I hope this helped you at least a little bit, and thank you all so much for watching. Bye bye!